Hello everyone. Today we'll learn about CSS, the tool that makes website look amazing. I'm Sasindhi and I'll be working with Chaturya and Harshini on this presentation. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever seen a website that looks just plain black text on white background? That's HTML without CSS. Now, look at modern websites with colors, nice fonts, and beautiful layouts. That's all thanks to CSS. So, what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It works with HTML to style web pages. Think of it this way. HTML is like the skeleton of a web page. It provides the structure with elements like headings, paragraphs, and images. CSS is like the clothes and makeup. It makes everything look attractive by adding colors and fonts, spacing, and layouts. For example, HTML gives us a basic button, but CSS makes it look clickable with colors, shadows, and hover effects. So, let's jump into next slide. Role in web design. CSS is crucial for 5 main reasons. Let me explain each one. The first one is a separation of structure and presentation. HTML focuses on the structure and content of the web page. CSS focuses on the visual design and layout. So, HTML handles the content, CSS handles the appearance. This separation makes websites easier to build and maintain. So we have a sample code here. Here HTML creates the heading and paragraph, while CSS makes the heading blue with Arial font and the paragraph gray with 16 pixels text. So let's go to next point. Next one is easy of maintenance. Changes in the design can be made by editing the CSS file without altering the HTML content. Imagine you have 100 pages all with blue headings. If you want to change them to red, with CSS you just change one line in the CSS file. Without CSS you would need to edit all 100 pages. So that is why we say it is easy to maintain. And the next one is improved user experience. Allows responsive designs that adapt to different devices like mobile, tablet, desktop, making websites accessible and visually appealing. So, CSS enables responsive design. Websites that automatically adjust to look good on phones, tablets, and computers. So next one is consistency across pages. A single CSS file can be linked to multiple HTML pages, ensuring consistent styling across a website. One CSS file can style your entire website, keeping everything looking uniform. So, the next one is faster load times. Reduces inline styling by centralizing the styles in an external style sheet. So CSS reduces code duplication, making websites load faster. Let's move to the next part. Parts of CSS syntax. Let's break down how CSS code is structured. Every CSS rule has three main parts: selector, property, value. Selector. This identifies which HTML elements to style. It could be element name like h1p, like class like dot title, id like hash main. So the other one is property. This specifies what aspect to change, like color, size, or spacing, margin, like that. The last one is the value. This defines how to change the property, like red 20 pixels or so. Let's talk about CSS syntax. We have the basic structure. The fundamental pattern of CSS consists of a selector defines which HTML elements you want to style, and declaration block inside curly braces containing property and the value. Property is the aspect you want to change, like color or font size. Value is how you want to change that property. So we have a sample code. H1 is the selector. It would target H1 HTML elements, though this isn't a standard HTML tag. Inside the braces are two declarations. Color is blue. It makes the text color blue. Font size is 24 pixels. It sets the font size to 24 pixels. So let's jump into next slide. Okay. A declaration block in CSS is enclosed by curly braces and contains one or more property value pairs. Each pair ends with semicolon. So we have a sample code. Selector H1 targets all H1 elements in the HTML. Declarations inside curly braces. Color green, it sets the text color to green. Font size 24 pixels, it sets the font size to 24 pixels. So semicolons are required after each declaration. Curly braces group related styles together. So let's jump into next part. Style in text. CSS properties define the style and appearance of HTML elements. Below are some of the most commonly used properties, with explanations and examples. Here are the most common CSS properties for text. Color. It changes text color. Like for an example, it can make text red, blue, or any color. font size. It controls how big or small the text is. And then font family. It picks the font style. For an example, Arial, Times New Roman, or fancy fonts. Text align. It positions text left, right, or center. For an example, usually we align center the headings. So the next one is text decoration. It adds underline, overline, or removes it. For an example, underline links or we can underline links or remove underlines. So let's jump into next slide. Properties. Let's look at real CSS example style text. I'll show you how each property works with code and results. The first one is color. This CSS rule makes all paragraphs turn blue. The color property controls text color. You can use names like blue or codes like we can use codes to colors. So the second one is font size. Font size sets text size. Here headings H1 become 24 pixel, 36 pixel. Stall. So the third one is font family property. Font family chooses the font. Here paragraphs use Arial. If Arial isn't available, it falls back to sans serif. Use commas to list backup fonts. The next one is text decoration property. Text decoration adds effects like underlines. It's common for links. So let's move to the summary of properties. Let me walk you through these important CSS properties that help us style text on websites. I'll explain each one simply with examples. The color property changes how text looks. You can make words red, blue, or any color you like. There are 3 ways to pick colors. You can use simple names like red. Special codes like we can add special codes to colors. Or the RGB style, which uses numbers like this. This is one of the easiest ways to make your website more colorful and interesting. And the next one is font size. Font size controls how big or small your text appears. The example shows some size options, but normally we use measurements like pixels or percentages. Bigger numbers make text larger and small numbers make it tinier. This helps create headings that stand out or paragraphs that are easy to read. The next one is font family. Font family lets you choose different text styles like Arial or sans serif, like the first font you list is what the browser tries to use first. If that font isn't available, it uses the next one you listed. This helps make sure your text always looks good, even if someone's computer doesn't have your first choice of font. And the next one is text align. Text align is like a ruler that helps position your text. You can push all your words to the left side, center them on the page, or move them to the right side. This is very useful for making nice looking headings, organizing paragraphs neatly on your web page. The last one is text decoration. Text decoration adds special lines to your text. You can underline important words, put a line through text you want to cross out, or remove underlines from links. This helps highlight important information or show that something has been completed. These 5 properties, color, font size, font family, text align, and text decoration, are like the basic tools for styling text. Once you understand this, you can make any web page look much more professional and attractive. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try experimenting with this in your own projects. So let's jump into next part. Ways to add CSS. There are 3 ways to add CSS. Inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. So first, let's talk about inline CSS. CSS is written directly inside an HTML tag using the style attribute. Affects only that specific element, not recommended for large projects because they're hard to maintain. So we have a syntax. Let's examine this. Style is the attribute we added to an HTML tag. Inside the quotes, we write our CSS declarations. So color is blue, it makes the text blue. Font size is 18 pixels. It sets the text size to 18 pixels. Declarations are separated by semicolons. So there are some pros of inline CSS. They are quick to add for simple changes and overrides other CSS styles. And also there are some cons in this inline CSS. They are hard to maintain because must edit each element individually, and makes HTML messy, not reusable like that. So let's jump into next slide. Apply CSS using inline, internal, and external methods. First we have a sample raw HTML code before styling. This initial HTML code shows a basic page with a heading that welcome to ABC Kids, and a paragraph. This is a sample paragraph. So let's see after add the inline CSS. See the output. The heading became to ABC Kids appears twice, likely a demonstration of styled versus unstyled. The styled version is blue, the other one is black. So, um, so let's jump into next part. Internal CSS. What is internal CSS? The second method, internal CSS, which goes in the style tag in the head section. So, it applies styles to the current page only. So we have so if we talk about when to use, we can use when styling a single page or for quick testing, or when you don't need to reuse the styles across multiple pages. So we have an example. Let's break in this down. All CSS rules are set the style tags. Body selector styles the entire page background. H1 selector makes all H1 headings to dark red and dark red. So there's some pros in internal CSS also. They are better organization than inline. The styles multiple elements at once and only affects one page. And also there are some cons about internal CSS. They are not reusable across multiple pages and can make HTML file large. So we have the output of this code. We can see the heading became dark red and the entire page background becomes light gray. So now my part is over. So now I'll pass it to Chaturya to explain CSS, external CSS and
Thank you, Sasindi. Hello, everyone. I'm Chaturya. Now I'm going to talk about the other way that we are going to design the web page, and it is going to be the external CSS. The external CSS is the most efficient and organized way to apply styles across multiple web pages. It involves linking a separate CSS file to your HTML document using the link tag in the head section. It allows you to reuse styles across multiple web pages. And when you are using it for the larger website, when you want to reuse the styles and for the better organization and cleaner code. So let's go and see the example. So this is the sample code, and here is the HTML code, and this is the CSS code. In here, we are saving it as a index.html, and inside the head you can see the CSS link tag that we are going to use the style of this web page. Inside the body, we are going to add the heading. And in the CSS file, we are going to save it as style.css. And this is your design. You can change it as you like. Now let's see the output of this code. As you can see, this is the output that we had gotten. Uh, the heading is going to be the green color and the background is going to be the white. And when we using this, there are few key features in this method. Their styles are defined in separate CSS file. The CSS file is linked using the link tag with rel equal semicolons. Inside the semicolon, style sheets, and a single CSS file can style multiple HTML pages. Also, the advantages are we can get a clean separation of content and clean separation of content and presentation. Easier maintenance and reusability, reduces code duplication, improves website loading speed. Also, there are a few disadvantages like requires additional HTTP requests to load the CSS file. Also, slight delay in applying styles if the CSS file loads all. Next, the three main ways, like a comparison, inline, quick for one-time styling, hard to maintain, and not reusable. In the internal method, easy for small pages, but doesn't scale well for large website. Last, the external method, reusable across multiple pages, but requires extra file and linking setups. So let's go to the next topic. Box model and layout basics. In CSS, every element on a web page is considered as a rectangular box, and the box model defines how the size of that box is calculated and how elements relate to each other visually. Understanding this model is essential for designing clean, responsive layouts. The box model has four main components, and we'll look at them for the insight out. So let's move to the next slide. First, the content. At the center of the box is the content area. This is where the text, image, or any other element appears. The size of this area can be set using width and height in CSS. For example, if we have a paragraph of text, the content box holds the actual letters and lines. Next, padding. Next come the padding, and padding is the space between the content and the border of the element. It pushes the content inward, creating breathing space. Padding is useful for keeping content from touching the edges of its container. For example, padding is given by 10 pixel gives 10 pixels of space on both sides inside the box. Next, the border. Surrounding the padding is the border. This is the visible line around the box. We can customize its size, style, and the color. For instance, you might use border 2 pixels solid black. to give your element a neat black outline. The border does affect the total size of the box unless you change the box sizing property. Next is going to be the margin. Finally, the margin is the space outside the border, creating distance between this box and the other elements. Think of margin as the social distance between boxes. For example, margin is going to be the 20 pixel. We create a 20 pixel gap between your element and its neighbor. So let's move to the next slide. So the styling box model, you can modify the various components of the box model using specific CSS properties. First, padding, add space inside the element between the content and the border to add breathing room inside the box around the content, as you can see the picture. And for example, the CSS is going to be the, let's take a div and the padding is inside the brackets. Padding is 20 pixel and the background color is light blue. And the syntax form is this. As you can see, we are going to use. And the next is going to be the margin. Add space outside the element, separating it from separating it from other elements to create space between elements. CSS, the paragraph margin is 15 pixels. The background color is light green. So here is a quick recap of this part. So remember, from the inside out, we have content where your element lives, padding, the inner space around the content, border, the visible edge, and the margin, the outer space pushing it away from the other elements. So why is this important? Understanding the box model is essential for layout design. If you have ever had issues when your elements don't align properly or things look bigger than expected, it's usually the box model at play. Once you master it, you gain precise control over spacing and layout in your design. Now let's go to the next part. So let's move to the next slide. Now I'm going to briefly talk about the different ways we can specify colors in CSS when styling our web pages. There are 4 main ways to define colors in CSS. This module will cover the basis of color, backgrounds, and gradients in CSS. Understanding how to apply colors and create visually appealing backgrounds is a key skill for web design. And CSS provides several ways to specify colors for styling elements, and they are named colors, hex colors, and RGB colors, and HSL colors. So let's move to the next slide. Named colors. These are simple readable names like red, blue, green, or black. CSS supports over 140 standard color names. As you can see in the code, we can use the name colors as red, So let's move to the next. Hex colors or hexadecimal colors. Hex code start with the hash followed by 6 characters like hash double F double zero for red or hash double F double zero for green. It gives precise control over the color using red, green, and blue values. In here, as you can see, we are added a hex color to the heading. So let's go to the RGB color. This stands for red, green, blue. We can write it as RGB 255 0, 0 for red or RGB 0, 255, 255 for cyan. This method lets us adjust the color intensity. So next is going to be the HSL color. HSL means hue, saturation, and the lightness. It's a color model where color is defined in terms of 3 components. Hue means degree of color, saturation, intensity of the color, and lightness, light or dark. In here, we are added a HSL 9, 100%, 60%. So my part is over from here, and next I would like to invite the I would like to invite Harshani to continue the next part.
Thank you, Chaturya. Hello everyone. I will going to introduce you to some basic CSS selectors, which are essential tools for styling HTML elements on a web page. These selectors help us choose which parts of the web page we want to style. Let's begin with the simple one, the element selector. The selector targets all HTML element is specific type. For an example, all paragraph, headings or division text in a web page. When you use the element selector, the style you define will be applied to every occurrence of the element. Next, the class selector. Unlike element selector, a class selector targets one or more HTML elements that share the same class attribute. It is written using a dot followed by the class name. Let's go to next page. The ID selector. What is it? The ID selector targets one unique HTML element that has a specific ID attribute. It is defined using a hash symbol followed by the ID name. An important rule, each ID should be unique and used only once per page. As you can see the syntax, and under the example code you can see in the HTML when
head 1 element with an ID attribute sent to main heading. This uniquely identify this heading on the page. In the CSS, we write the selector hash main heading, the hash symbol followed by the ID name. This tells the browser to apply the following styles only to the element with that ID. So here the style make the heading text blue and increase the font size to 32 pixels. Because IDs are unique, only this one heading gets these styles. Now we are going to next. You can see a big HTML code. I include this code: element selector, class selector, ID selector. This code says the HTML structure. The page has a title, so selector demo. The body contains heading 1 with the ID main title, paragraph elements, 1 regular and 1 with the class highlight, the division box also with the class highlight. When we talk about CSS selectors, element selector, this is style all paragraph elements by setting their text color to green. So both paragraph will have green text initially. Class selector. This targets all elements with the class highlight and applies yellow background and bold font weight. Here, the second paragraph, the second division, both have class equal highlight. So they get highlighted with yellow background and bold text. ID selector. This targets the element with the ID main title, the heading 1, changing its color to blue and aligning the text to the center. Since IDs are unique, only this heading is affected. The visual result of the summary, the heading "Welcome to ABC Kids" is centered and blue. The first paragraph text is green and second paragraph and divide have green text, bright yellow background and bold font. You can see the next page, the output of this code. Next, we can attend to group. Next, we can talk about grouping and universal selectors. First, we can talk grouping selectors. What is it? Apply the same style multiple elements at once. Use a comma to separate the selectors. The next page, you can see the example. Here, H1, H2, P. As you can see, the separate element by comma. This code tells all H1, H2 and paragraph element will use Arial font and have dark blue text. The benefits of the group selectors: save time and avoid repeating code, make CSS cleaner and more efficient. As an example for grouping, you can see the next page, this code. See, The firstly declares a document type of vision of HTML, and the HTML, the root element that wraps all content on the web page. The head contains methods and styles that don't appear declarely on the page. Inside the head, there is a style block with CSS. You can see this CSS section, head 1, head 2 and paragraph. This means style will apply all head 1, head 2 and paragraph elements. The style applied color equal blue mean change the text color to blue. The font family equal Arial sans serif mean use Arial as the font. If not available, phase back to any sans serif font. Next, you can see the output of this code. Next, we are going to universal selectors. What is universal selector? The universal selector targets all HTML elements on the page. Useful for applying global style or resetting default browser style. As you can see this syntax, margin equals 0, padding equals 0, box size equal border box. The explanation of this code: remove default spacing from all elements, help main consist layout across browser. Often use the start of a style sheet. Reminder: use with care, it affects everything unless overriding. We can go to the next page, the example for universal selector. You can see this code as it is equal to firstly I explain the code. The margin is 0, the padding is 0, box size is 0, box size is border box. It explains: remove the default spacing from all elements, help main consistent layout across browser, often used at the start of the style sheet. Next, go to the next, then you can see the output of my code. Here, the next the difference between classes and ID. Firstly, the first row tells the prefix. A class selector starts with the dot. Then an ID selector starts with the hash. Then second row, usage. Classes can be used on many elements. You can apply the same classes to multiple tags on the page. The ID selector are used for only one unique element in the page, like a specific header or section. Third row, reusability. Class names are reusable. You can use the same class again and again. ID should only be used once per page. Repeating the same ID is not correct HTML properties. Fourth row is specificity. The Classes have lower specificity, so if their conflicts, they are overridden by more specific style. IDs have higher specificity, so they override classes styles if both are applied to the same element. Fifth, HTML example. The class example is you can see the box is the class name. ID example, the header is the unique ID name. Sixth row, CSS example. To style the class in CSS, dot box. To style the ID in CSS, use hash header. Okay, lastly we come our summary. You can see it in the next page. CSS is a large used to style and designing web page. It controls how HTML elements appear on screen by applying colors, layouts, font, spacing and more. The key points: CSS stand for scanning style sheets. It separates style from structure. Style can be applied using selectors. There are three main types of CSS: inline, internal, external. Helps make a website attractive, representative and organized. Now we are come to end of our presentation. Thank you for listening our presentation.